music for Monday Night Football as we get ready for the Eagles and the Chicago Bears in town. Gotta love Monday Night Football. Eagles and the Bears. Joe DeCamera, Michael Bradley, Jeremiah Trotter. It is the Eagles pregame show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And right now we bring on a man with, we're talking a lot about Buddy Ryan. He's got a unique perspective with Buddy when you consider the 46 defense actually was named after him. And of course, he played for Buddy with the Chicago Bears, and now is the new head coach, and we congratulate him for that. The new head coach of the Philadelphia Soul, Doug Plank, calling in here on the Fanatic. Hey, Doug, thanks for being a part of the show tonight, and that's quite a distinction, man. The 46 defense being named after your number, the number 46 when you played for Buddy.
You know, it was unbelievable. That morning when I walked in there and he drew up this board, and of course, Buddy doesn't draw up X's and O's. He puts everybody's number. And I was a middle linebacker on this defense, and he circled my number 3 or 4 times after he's done. He said, we're going to call this the 46 defense. Nobody ever thought much of it, but I'll tell you what, that thing just went on and on and on until they got to the Super Bowl. So it is such a thrill to be back here in Philadelphia tonight. Chicago Bears in town. Should be a great game.
Hey, Doug, we've been talking about Buddy Ryan from the point of view of the fans and how much he meant to these Philadelphia fans because of his attitude. With all of the things he did as a coach for the players, what was it like to be a player under his influence and under his coaching auspices?
There's a saying in coaching. It says players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we all knew in Chicago how much Buddy cared for us. And it was a game, I think, in '79 against the San Francisco 49ers where we lost the game and we came back. And Buddy stood up in front of our defensive group and he said, you know what, there's some guys in here that I know that are going to make mistakes, but other guys, I count on you to make plays. And after saying that, tears were rolling down his face. I'll tell you what, I've never been in a room with so much emotion. Everybody started drinking the Kool-Aid after that. And then I'll tell you what, the 46 defense was born. And look out, it was on to the Super Bowl for the Chicago Bears.
Doug, we have Jeremiah Trotter here with us, a linebacker, and we're trying to explain to him what it would have been like for him to play in Buddy Ryan's defense. Give him a little taste of what it would have been like to be a middle linebacker playing for Buddy Ryan.
Well, Jeremiah, I think, what made Buddy so great was, he laid out exactly what your responsibilities and assignments were, but he told you exactly what was going to happen in the game, who was going to get hit, who was going to get knocked down, how the ball was going to get ripped out, and how we were going to pick up the fumble and run it for touchdowns. Or, but the middle linebacker position, that was what Buddy Ryan was all about. There's not a fact. Mike Singletary came in very quietly as a second-round draft pick, but after being under Buddy Ryan for a few years, I'll tell you what, he just emerged as a monster. And, it was a great opportunity to be a player in his system.
Doug Plank with us here on 97.5 The Fanatic, head coach of the Philadelphia Soul, and the man who wore number 46 at the 46 defense in Chicago was named after. Doug, tell us about Buddy kind of behind the scenes, off the field, so to speak, and not just off the field, but out of the locker room. Like, what kind of guy was he just in normal life? When he talked, he's a trash talker. Would he be talking trash just 24/7 away from football, or is that stuff more of a football thing?
No, you know what? Honestly, Buddy really had a soft side to him. And like I told you, I just told you that one story there where I saw a tear roll down his face in talking to the guys. You know what? He cared about you. He cared about your wives, your kids, and really, he let you know that, it wasn't just about you being a football player. It's about you being a person. And, he took special interest into learning, your wives' names and kids' names and all that sort of thing. And all the reason why I'm saying that is, these little things which seem unimportant are important. They're very important to players. And when he asked you to do something, it got to a point, it didn't matter what it was. Jump off cliffs, run full speed into other players. You were going to do it. And every time I ever got knocked down on the field, I kept thinking, how is this going to look on film Monday morning in front of Buddy? And I never, ever wanted to disappoint him. And that's even true to this day.
You know what, Doug? That reminds me a little bit of Dick Vermeil. Not from his style of the way he wanted his players to play, but how personal he was with his players, the families. When I went to KC on a visit, that's the number one thing I heard from all the players across the board, that Vermeil was a players coach. He loved his players. He knew the families, and that's one of the things. That was one of his downfalls. And just listening to you talk about Buddy this way, reminds me of that.
You know, it's funny, I've met Coach Vermeil before in the past, and, you know, there's one thing, you're right, he showed his emotion. He wasn't afraid to cry in front of his players or even the public for that matter. And, you know, everybody thinks, you know, that wants to be a coach, hey, you got to be a tough guy and you got to swear to players and act like a real big shot. That's nothing could be further from the truth. When you let those players know that you care about them and that you are trying to put them in a position to make plays, and that's all Buddy did 24 hours, 7 days a week, was think of defenses, schemes, blitzes, everything he could to put you in the best position to make a play. And how could you not love a coach like that? So, you know, we had a huge love affair for Buddy Ryan, and I know the players that I played with, that was one of the saddest days in their life when he came to Philadelphia.
Yeah, Doug, big game tonight, of course, going to be wrapped around that halftime ceremony. Eagles and Bears, Monday Night Football. What do you see tonight?
I think the Eagles are just lights out here the last couple of weeks, and I know they got a lot of criticism. You know what? Sometimes criticism is a good thing. It makes you play harder. It makes you play smarter. And, you know, so I think that the criticism that was directed at this team, both the coaching staff and the players, they reacted. That job that they did on the Dallas Cowboys, that was outstanding. And I've been around Michael Vick when he was down in Atlanta. You know, I think it really rests on his shoulders. If he's able to buy some time back in that pocket, he's going to find open receivers downfield.
You know, Doug, I hear the passion, man. I think you get ready for the Soul season right now, right? You ready to rock?
Yeah, we can't run the 46 defense, but one thing we can do, we can put the mindset of the 46 defense in these players. And before you accomplish anything, everything begins with a thought process.
Nice.
So we're going to get these players thinking like winners before we become winners.
Doug, great stuff, man. Thanks for calling in and sharing the memories about Buddy. And, again, congratulations on the Soul job. And, well, you know, looking forward to seeing it.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Look forward to a great game tonight.
Absolutely. That's Doug Plank on the Safe Auto hotline. We thank him for